And I guarantee you, when they first set that tank, they didn't pull a truck up and dump some sludge in the tank to get it going. He just started using it. Hey everybody, Jake Chamberlain here with D&J Septic Services. Another quick hit from Ask the Pumper Dude. Episode 1 is out, and I appreciate you guys taking a look at that. Lots of good info. We answered 5 questions in that episode. I want to encourage you, if you have any questions, send them our way. You know, message us through any of our social platforms, give us an email, even give us a call. However you want to do it is fine with us. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. We did receive one question. I thought this would be great to share. There's always this conversation around, should there be sludge left in the tank after it's pumped? You get a lot of pumpers out there that are going to tell you, and they're either just misinformed or they're misleading, but they're going to tell you that you need to leave sludge in the bottom of the tank, and they're going to tell you that you need to leave that sludge in there so that the bacteria will continue to grow, because otherwise your bacteria, the biology of the tank is going to be all off. It's just not the case. The entire reason that we clean the tank is to remove the solids and prevent those solids from being present in the tank, which will stop them from getting pushed out of the tank to the drain field. And that's, you know, that's one of the number one causes for septic system failure, is that the tanks are not being maintained properly, they're not being cleaned properly, and we're allowing those solids to get out of the tank. So anybody that tells you that you need to leave solids in there, you need to question them and pull up this video and say, hey, on Ask the Pumper Dude, they said don't leave sludge in the bottom of the tank. There's plenty of bacteria in the tank. You're never going to get all the bacteria out of the tank. Every time we flush the toilet, we're putting more bacteria into the septic tank. Everything happens naturally. You do not have to worry about the biology of the tank. And I guarantee you, when they first set that tank, they didn't pull a truck up and dump some sludge in the tank to get it going. He just started using it. Okay, so I just want to debunk that myth right out of the gate. Now the question that we had was, the guy had his septic tank pumped, and the pumper said he got as much out of there as he could, and he had to leave some in there. And so I started asking some questions. We went back and forth a couple times, and this is kind of the gist of what I got from the scenario. It had been a long time since the tank was cleaned, so it was very, very high levels of solids in the tank. Now, what can happen when there's that much solids in the tank, typically the tank should be cleaned when we're at about 20 to 25% solids. So what that means, in a standard septic tank, you're going to have about 5 feet of water in it. So the majority, if we're at 20% solids, we've got 80% water in that tank. That gives us a lot of cleaning power. All right, so there are different methods to cleaning the septic tank. We use a septic tank agitator, which is basically a big tool that mixes the tank up as we're pumping it down, and it mixes all the solids in, and by the time you get to the bottom, it's almost completely clean. We just rinse it down, and it's back to brand new. Without using that agitator, the typical way that you're going to go about cleaning the tank is you're going to break up as much of the solids as you can. You pump it all out. You get down to the bottom, and you're going to have quite a bit of solids left in the tank still. So you do what's called a back flush, which you're going to flow the liquid from the truck back into the septic tank and mix it all around, kind of just whips it all up and mixes that mostly water that you pumped out of the tank back in and breaks down and kind of liquefies the solids that are in the tank, and then pull it all back out. So in this particular circumstance, he said the pumper back flushed it 3 times. He was there for an hour and 15 minutes or so, and it's understandable if that tank was so full of solids. Once you back flush a couple times, that really gets really thick trying to pump it back and forth, and it's just not as effective as if you have a larger percentage of water that you're using to back flush. So it sounded to me like the pumper probably did as best a job as he could. There may be some techniques that he could have used that would have helped, but what my recommendation would be in that scenario, if the pumper, for any reason, good or bad, if you know that there was 6-8 inches of sludge left in the bottom of that tank, I want to be clear that even though the tank was pumped, that tank was left at about 10 to 15% solids. So it's not going to take very long to be back up into that 20 to 25% range. Now the reason we use that range, that 20 to 25% solids, which is when we want to clean the tank, once we move beyond that point, the solids build up so much where it starts to, we have less and less clean water in the tank. And that clean water, we're trying to let that escape the tank out to the drain field and hold back the solids in the tank. But when we get overloaded with solids, it becomes easier and easier for those solids to mix into that clean water and move out to the drain field, which of course is what we're trying to avoid. So if you know that sludge was left in the tank, I would highly recommend that you have the tank cleaned properly within the next 12 to 18 months, depending on what your usage is. But what that's going to allow to do, and I assume in this scenario it was so heavy with solids, the pumper might have done a pretty good job to get it down to 6 or 8 inches of sludge left in the bottom. Well, if we go ahead and pump that another, in a year from now, we're going to have mostly water in the tank. We'll be probably around that 20% mark with the solids. And now we're in a more manageable situation where we can, get the tank cleaned properly. If we're going to be back flushing, we'll have more water in our truck that we can use to do a more effective job with the back flushing, getting all those solids broken down and being able to get them all removed from the tank. So if you think that sludge was left in the tank, it's a good idea to find somebody who uses a sludge judge, which is a tool that we use that we dip in the tank. We get a cross section of the tank, and we know exactly how much solids are in the top and on the bottom. Just ask. You probably have to pay at least a service call, but it's worth either finding out or having the peace of mind, so you know exactly where your solid levels are. So if you have a concern, you either think someone didn't clean your tank properly, or maybe it was just had gone a long time between cleanings, and you think maybe that it didn't get cleaned all the way to the bottom, have somebody come out that's got the proper tools, measure those solids, see where it's at, and then you can address it from there. You know, sometimes we come out and we'll find out that it's at about 10% solids, and we leave it up to the customer. You know, it's right in between. You know, do you want it? You want to be ahead of the game, get it clean, get a fresh start, or you could probably let it go another year or two. You know, based on how many people are in the house and what their water use habits are. But have somebody come out, measure it, you'll know where it's at, and then you can have a game plan from there. And then just, it's always a good rule of thumb. Don't assume that the pumper that you have coming out is going to do what you expect them to do. It's okay to stand out there and find out, hey, okay, you got it all the way to the bottom, you got all the sludge out of there. You know, I have no problem with you being around me when I'm working, because I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to cut corners. I'm not, you know, I'm not here to leave the solids. I'm here to take them away. So if somebody is bothered by you wanting to know that your tank was cleaned properly, I think that's a pretty big red flag. So ask the questions when you go to hire somebody. You know, number one, what tools do you use? Do you use a sludge judge? How do you accurately measure how many solids are in the tank? Do you use a septic tank agitator? You use a tool that mixes the tank up that helps clean the tank even better? If they don't use that tool, ask them what measures do they take to get the tank cleaned properly. You know, if they're hemming and hawing about, we know what we're doing, though, you know, they should at least be able to tell you. If they don't, you can certainly get a tank cleaned without using an agitator. I'm not at all saying that you should avoid somebody just based on that tool, but they should be able to at least tell you, oh yeah, well, we pump the tank down. If there's an excess of solids, we back flush it, so we get it all mixed up. We pull it all back out. We rinse it down with the hose, and our goal is to get all the solids out of the tank. If you're hearing something along that lines, you should be able to feel pretty comfortable that you've got somebody coming out who's trying to do a good quality service for you. And and ask the question: do you mind if I'm there watching when the service gets done? Just ask the questions. You're going to know. You're going to get the feel from what kind of company it is that you're dealing with, and if you feel uneasy about it, move on to somebody else. Wherever you are, there is somebody who's going to do a good job for you. But you got to be wary. Any service industry out there, you've got people that are not going to do the job correctly. They're not going to give you the highest quality service. So be diligent, ask the questions, look at reviews, and you should have no problem determining if you got somebody reputable coming out. And then just pay attention when they're there doing the service. Just be around. You don't got to bug them, but it's okay. Hey, when you're done, can you show me that it's been cleaned properly? I want that peace of mind. If they know they're going to have to show it to you when they're done, they're probably going to do a lot better job, aren't they? So, just some tips. Make sure that you're getting a good, high-quality service. And again, if you have any situation for whatever reason where you're concerned that there might have been sludge left in the tank, you find somebody in your area that's got the right tools that they can actually do an accurate measurement of the solids, not just look at it or stick a stick down there or feel down there with a tool. They should have a core sampler. It's typically called a sludge judge in this industry. And find somebody that's got that tool. They can come out, measure the solids, and then you'll know. And then you can make a decision on what you want to do going forward from there. So that's a great question. I don't have the name in front of me, but I appreciate you sending that question in. And again, anything that you guys got on your mind, any questions, any concerns that you have surrounding septic tank cleaning, portable toilets, drain field installations, whatever it is, send them in, and we'll get them answered. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.